Welcome to another IELTS Journey with Fabi, where we talk about everything and anything IELTS test. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabi. I'm an English teacher, more like an IELTS expert, and I live here in Brisbane, Australia. And I help people get the score they need on the IELTS test and do the test only once. Okay, all right. And I also help people study, work, and live abroad. Just organizing this here. It's a bit funny. It's okay. Guess I help people prove their English level so they can study, work, and or live abroad. Okay. So if you're interested in anything, IELTS test. Here is the place to be. Okay. Maybe you can tell me where you're watching me from. What do you think? I love to know where you guys are watching from. If you want, you can put in the flags. I'm not very good at flags, but I can guess where you are in the world. So today we're going to talk about how to live and work in Australia. hmm Yeah. But before I start, I have to tell you, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I don't know the rules. There's only one rule I know about all the types of visas. That's for sure. And that I can share with you and that I can help you with. But I'm just going to share basically with you guys opportunities. Okay, opportunities that you can have in Australia. All right. So maybe if you want to tell me if you'd like to come to Australia, just pop a message in there. Would you like to come here? Yes or no? Okay, let's go. So, oh yeah. So, why? Why so many people want to come to Australia? What do you think? You can pop in the comments if you like. Okay. Why do you think so many people want to come to Australia? What is the reason? Okay. I live here. I have been living in Australia since 2011. I came here to stay for 6 months and I've been here since 2011. Okay. Someone said in the chat, I'd love to go there. You should. It's amazing. It is very beautiful. It is very, very beautiful, guys. Yeah, and safe, pretty safe compared to lots of countries out there. Yeah, Australia is very, very safe. And when I talk to people from Brazil, people from South America, Colombia, I know a lot of people from Colombia here too. They say that one of the main things, the main reasons why they are here and they want to stay here is because of the safety is very safe, okay, compared to lots of countries. Okay, keep telling me, guys, why you'd like to move here. Okay, cool. So one of the reasons people would love to move here: great work opportunities. Okay, great work. Oh, someone said, I like to go to Australia because the kangaroos, they are cute. They are very cute. And if I've been here for 11 years now, 14 years. And the first time I saw a kangaroo at a zoo, not a zoo, but at a sanctuary, the first time was 2 years ago. Every other single kangaroo that I saw was in the wild. In the wild. I saw kangaroos on the beach, guys. It was so interesting. Kangaroos on the beach. Yeah. So most of the ones I see, they are in the wild. Not in my neighborhood, no. Mm-mm. I've never seen koalas. No, I have seen koalas in the wild. Yes, I have seen koalas in the wild. But the best place to go is the koala sanctuary here in Brisbane. You cannot hug the koala anymore. You should be able to hold the koala like this. You should be able to, okay, let me do like this. To hug like this and take a picture, but you can't do that anymore, unfortunately. Okay, or fortunately, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason why they decided to do that, of course. But but you can still. So the carer holds the koala, and you can take a picture next to it. I have a few. You can feed the koala. You buy the bag of food, and you can feed the koalas. So it's pretty cool. Come to Australia. I'm Australia's ambassador. Okay, now fun stuff apart. Okay, guys, let's put the fun to the side. Let's talk about the practical things now. But you can always ask me anything. I'm happy to answer. Okay, so great work opportunities. Yes. So, especially for engineers. Yes, guys. So, if you want jobs that are available in Australia, you can go to the website seek.com. Okay, seek.com. Seek.com. And that's where people look for jobs here in Australia. Okay, so if you're thinking about coming here, not sure about job prospects, you can always go there and have a look. But usually there are lots of jobs opportunities in Australia. Okay, high quality of life. High quality of life. That's what someone already mentioned. It is safer here, much safer. You know, the traffic's good. You know, lots of things here that you might not find in your country. Okay, so you do have more quality of life, I think. Yeah. Things are a bit expensive at the moment here. All right. But I still think it's worth it, you know, especially when it comes to housing. Yeah. But housing had always been a bit expensive. I remember I've been. I moved here in 2011, but I did spend a year in Brazil. And when I was making the decision whether to come back to Australia or not, the only thing that got me thinking was accommodation because rent can be expensive, you know, but everything else is good. So I think it's worth it. Personally speaking, I think it's worth it. Okay. Someone asked me, is it too difficult to find a job in my career? Doesn't exist there, for example, to work in a zoo? So that's what I just mentioned. Why don't you go to the website? Seek, seek.com, seek.com, and you can have a look at the job opportunities. Or even if you guys use LinkedIn, actually, yesterday I was talking to one of my students, she's in Brazil, and she said, are there any job opportunities in Australia for me, Fabi? I said, I don't know. And she said, let me go to LinkedIn. And then she could see, I don't use LinkedIn that much, but she could see some opportunities. Okay. So, and again, guys, it's all about what you want. Okay. Check the opportunity. Does it work for you? Does it not work for you? Okay. I came here as a student. Okay. And then I started working at restaurants to pay the bills. But within 1 year, I managed to get a certification and then I became a teacher here. And that was in 2012. So I have been teaching English in Australia since 2012. Okay, I was a teacher in Brazil already, so I had the experience, but I needed to get a specific certification to be able to teach here. Even though everyone looked at my CV and went, "Oh my god, you're such a good teacher," but I can't hire you because you don't have the certification. So I got the certification, within a month I had a job. Okay, but I know that people have different backgrounds and different professions, so it's really personal. Okay, so what do you have to do? Do you want to come to Australia? Do you want to work in your field or your profession here? Do your research. Okay, so that's why I'm here today, to remind you guys about the research that you have to do and the things that you need. But I'm not an immigration lawyer. I am not an immigration lawyer. Okay, I cannot help you with your visa. Okay, all right. And someone saying hello, hello. Someone said thank you. You're welcome. Okay. Beautiful beaches. Yeah, beautiful beaches here. A bit in Australia. Australia is a very beautiful place. Very, very beautiful. It is quite multicultural. Yeah, it's funny because I keep saying there's no Australian typical food, but there's food from all over the world here. Okay. Near my house here, there used to be a place that used to sell pastel. If you're from Brazil, you know what pastel is. It's a special Brazilian pastry, but they closed down, unfortunately. But there's a very good Brazilian restaurant in the city also, you see? So, yeah, right next to me, there's a very good Thai restaurant. So it's extremely multicultural. Okay, extremely multicultural. Okay, the opportunity to study and work at the same time. Yes, so that's one thing that attracts a lot. That's one thing that attracted me when I came to Australia, was the fact that you can work and study at the same time. Okay, that's why I came here. I could have gone to lots of different countries, but again, I didn't have money just to pay for the course and then still pay for housing, still pay for food, still pay for entertainment. No, I didn't have money for that. So that's why I came to Australia, because you can work when you're a student here. Okay. And again, things change all the time here in Australia, but it is quite common for you to get a pathway into a permanent residency. There are ways that you can do that here in Australia. Okay, so that's why people like Australia so much, because there are lots of opportunities. I have to be honest, things have changed a lot in the last 10 years since I came here. It used to be slightly easier, let's say. Okay, but there are ways of doing it. But that's one thing I always tell people. Australia wants people who are intelligent, smart, who have a degree, and who are young, and who speak English well. Three things: have a degree, you're smart, you like to study, you're hardworking, you're young, and you speak English well. That's what Australia wants. These three things. These three things. And I'll tell you why later. Okay. I'll tell you why later. Okay. Cool. Now, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the types of visas that you might consider when coming to Australia. But remember, I am not an immigration lawyer. I am not an immigration agent. I know the visas exist. Okay, but I cannot help you get the visa. There's one thing I can do to help you, and I think you know what I can do. Okay, guys. So, student visa. So, the student visa, I think, is one of the simplest ones. Okay. Now, recently, there has been a kind of a cap, they call. There's so many visas they can give out, and some people have had their visas rejected, unfortunately. Okay. And one thing that has changed also is before you could just pay the course, get the visa, come here. Now, in some cases, guess what they are requesting you? Even before you get to Australia, guess one of the things they request you do? Do the IELTS test. So for some student visas, you have to do the test before you come to Australia. I was talking to a person who works with immigration agents, and she was saying, she's like, I've never seen this before. People come to Australia, they study, and they do the IELTS test. Now they have to do in advance. And that's why I'm here with you today, guys, to tell you this. You have your dream to come to Australia. Great. Start studying for the IELTS today. Okay, because you don't want to miss opportunities and not being able to achieve what you want. Okay, so that's why I'm here today. So even if you're going to apply for a student visa, some visas, you need to do the IELTS test. Okay, next one. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say. And when you are on a student visa, you can work 24 hours per week. Okay, I have to be honest, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough money to pay for accommodation and food, 100%. Okay, guys, 100%. Okay, that's one of the good things about the student visa. Yeah, temporary graduate visa. Okay, so it's called graduate visa. And it's funny because I have no idea how to get these visas because I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I know all of them. And how do I know them? Because people come to me and say, hey, Fabi, I need to do the IELTS test. And I ask the questions. Okay, what score do you need? And when do you want to do the test? Academic or general? And they go, academic or general? I don't know which one. And I ask, what type of visa? And then they tell me. And then that's how I know about these visas, because my students tell me about the visas. Okay. So with the graduate visa, when you finish a specific courses here in Australia, you can apply for your graduate visa. Okay. And the visa, it depends, it may be 2 4 years. It depends on the visa. Okay, but that's an opportunity too. Okay, but then you have to do a full course here in Australia. So some people, and I think it depends on the course. I'm not sure you can get it for all the courses. Okay, but that's something to look into. Okay, if you're interested. The only downside is that these courses can be a little bit expensive, but you learn a trade and you get to stay here a little bit longer. And some people think that that's quite good. Okay, and again, some people sometimes they do a pathway. Sometimes people get into these courses and they don't have to do the IELTS test. Not in the past. Now I think everyone has to. But when you finish the course, you have to do the IELTS test to get the visa. You have to do the IELTS test. Okay, cool. Skilled migration. Skilled migration is a pretty cool one. If you have a profession that is needed in Australia and you have experience in your country, you go through a process and you tell Australia, look, I am a very good professional in this area. And then you get your PR straight away. Okay. And then you come to Australia with your PR. I've helped lots of engineers in this process. I helped some people who were in Brazil and they did all the process in Brazil and they came here as residents already. So this is a good option too. But of course, and that's when it comes down to Australia wants people who are educated. To apply for this visa, you have to have university and you have to have experience in your area. Hardworking people, you have to have experience in your area. Okay. Young, I think that if you're 35 or 36, you cannot apply for this visa anymore. And of course, you need a high level of English to apply for this specific visa. So, as I said before, Australia needs people who are educated, hardworking, young, and who speak English well. Okay. And another one is the sponsored visa. This one is tricky. I see a lot of people getting this one, but again, it's not up to you. It's up to your employer. And some companies, they are very used to sponsoring people. Some are not. Okay. I have a couple of friends, and that was the process. They sponsored one of my former students. They're friends now, right? When they were my students, and they just got their PR. Okay, but it was 5 years of working for the company, and then you get the visa, and then you ask the company to sponsor you, and then they sponsor you, and then it's a whole process of getting the sponsorship. Once you get the sponsorship, then you have to wait, and then you apply for residency. It's a long process, guys. It's quite long, but if you really want to be here, then it's worth it. Okay, it's quite worth it. All right, some comments here. I appreciate speaking English with you. I have your exam on the 26th. Oh my God, you have 2 days to go. What score do you need? And which test are you doing, academic or general? Let me know. Okay, guys. So look at this. I told you about 4 types of visas to live, work, and or study in Australia. Student visa, temporary graduate visa, skilled migration visa, and sponsor visa. 4 types of visa. Very good types of visa here in Australia. Very good ones. What? And again, I told you, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I don't know how to get the visa. I just know they exist. However, there is one thing that you need with all of these 4 types of visas. What do you need, guys? Put it in the comments. What is something that you need? It doesn't matter which visa you apply for. What is something that you need? Put it in the comments. I'm going to have some coffee and you write it down. What everybody needs for all types of visa. The IELTS test. Yeah. It doesn't matter which visa you want to apply. Fabi, I want the sponsor. You need to do the IELTS test. Fabi, I want the skilled migration visa. You need to do the IELTS test. Fabi, I want graduate visa. You need to do the IELTS test. Fabi, I want to do a master. You need to do the IELTS test. Guys, if you're thinking about coming to Australia, you have to start improving your English now, and you have to start studying for the IELTS test now. Okay. I always share success stories here with you, people who I have helped, people who are residents now, citizens now, even, okay? But there, I also have some really sad stories of the people who did not start preparing in advance. Recently, I got in touch with with a couple, and the guy, he was working for a company, and they were dying to sponsor him. The guy was hardworking. The boss loved him, and they say, "I want to sponsor you," but he could not get 5 on the IELTS test. He tried many times, and they had to give up, unfortunately. I helped him for a little bit, but then he said, "No, Fabi, it's not for me. I'm going back to my country." I said, "Okay, that's fine." Okay. So if he had started earlier, if he had thought about it, okay, oh, they want to sponsor me. When his boss said sponsor, that's when he should have started studying for the IELTS test. Okay, guys. So that's why I'm here. I don't want you to miss opportunities because you don't speak English or because you don't have the IELTS test. You don't have the score you need. Okay. Um, Question here: what is the best option, paper test or computer based? Computer, guys. 100% computer. Okay. Why? If the computer test is available in your country, you can basically do the computer based one every day. Every day you can do it. Okay. Here in Australia, at least, you can do it like on a Sunday afternoon if you want to. Okay. That's one reason. It's you can do it basically every day of the week. Second reason is because you get the results in 24 hours, at least in Australia. I have a student in Mexico. It took her about 3 days to get the results, but in Australia, within 24 hours, you get your result. And that's so good, right? Very good. And with the writing, you can type. So if you make a mistake, you want to change sentences around, you can just do that. That's fine. When you're typing, the computer will count the words. How cool is that? The computer will count the words for you. It's amazing, true. What else? With the reading, okay, with the reading, you have it's a big screen. So you have the text and the questions on the same screen. And people say they save a lot of time. And with the listening, you have headphones. And people say it's easier to listen to the listening part because you have headphones. Okay, did I help? Did I convince you? Okay, guys. Yeah. So if you have the choice, IELTS test on paper or computer, choose computer. And in my course, I help my students prepare for the computer. We start practicing on paper and then we move on to computers. Okay, guys, we move on to computers after. Goody, goody. All right, cool. Next one. Next one. Okay, guys, pop questions in, okay? Pop questions in. Today I'm talking about some visas you can get to study, work, or live here in Australia, okay? And I am not an immigration lawyer, okay? But I can help you with the IELTS test. And it doesn't matter what choice you make, you will need the IELTS test. Okay. And one thing that makes me a little bit sad sometimes is that some of the lawyers, they let you know kind of last minute, or they tell you you need the IELTS test, but they don't keep reminding you, hey, did you do the test? Hey, did you do the test? It should be the first thing, okay, that you guys do. 100%. Okay. 100%. Okay. Now let's talk about scoring. Okay. Let's talk about scoring. Okay. Wait, there's a question here. Academic. What is academic and trainer? What is a trainer IELTS? Did you mean general? I think you meant general. Okay. So academic IELTS is for the people who'd like to study. General is for the people who like to move here, immigrate here. So, for example, graduate visa, because you have already finished studying, you need a general. Skill migration visa, general. Student visa, academic. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, depends on what you need. And that's why, guys, you have to know. That's my first question for you. Remember, What type of test do you need? Okay, cool. Now, usually for student visas, okay, if you want to come to Australia as a student and they ask you to do the IELTS test, you need 5.5 to 6. 5.5 to 6. It depends on the course, it depends on what you want to study. Okay. Uh, Graduate visa, skilled visas, usually 6, sometimes a 7. But most people actually try to get a 7 because in Australia, if you get a higher score, a higher English score, you get more points. So it's easier for you to get your visa approved. Okay, cool. Then PR, yeah, PR, same thing. Yeah, PR is like 7. So I would say we should be aiming at a 6. Most people need around a 6. Some will need a 7. But of course, then there are other things that you want to achieve. Recently, I started helping a student who's also a friend now. She wants to be a teacher here in Australia. And if you want to be a teacher in Australia, you need 7 in speaking and sorry, you need 7 in reading and writing and 8 in speaking and listening. It's a really high score. Okay. Another question for working visa, they ask for at least 4.5. Yes, it depends. Yeah. So for sponsor, yeah. For the sponsor, 4.5. Yeah. And again, guys, so see, it depends on what you want. So that's why it's hard for people ask me, Fabi, what's a good score on the IELTS test? Well, the good score is the score you need. And they go, but what score do I need? I say, I don't know. You have to know. You know, you tell me, and I'll help you. Okay, guys. I've given you so many options here for visas in Australia. You choose the visa. You find out what to do and you come to me and you tell me, Fabi, I need a 6 on the IELTS test, and I can help you. Okay, that's my job here. That's my job here. My job here is to tell you lots of information, and then you find out what you want. When you know what you want, you come to me, and I can help you with the IELTS test. Okay, because just like you, just like you, I would like you to live here just like I live here. Okay, I need to do the IELTS test too. I'm a resident here. I needed to do I needed 4.5 on the IELTS and I got 8 overall. But it was a great opportunity for me to practice the test, but I did it ages ago. I should do it again, I think. And someone said, I need 6.5 in every skill. See? It's very different, guys. And Arturo, what is your, why do you need the test? What is your objective? What kind of visa are you applying for? Okay, cool. What else can I say here? Oh yeah, so let me just share with you maybe some of the types of. So if you come to Australia and you're allowed to work, some of the jobs people do here. Okay, hospitality. So when we say hospitality, we mean working in bars and restaurants and cafes. Okay, very, very common. I worked in one for a long. I worked in so many restaurants because every time I was a little bit unhappy, I changed and I changed. So I worked in restaurants here too. It was fun. It was interesting. I worked at 2 Spanish restaurants. I worked at a cafe. I worked at a Greek restaurant, but I didn't like working there. So I worked there for only a month. Then I changed jobs. Where else did I work? Where else did I work? I think that was it. I think that was it, Chem. Until I decided to become a teacher again. I was like, nah, I don't like working in restaurants anymore. I want to be a teacher. And then, as I said before, I had the experience, I had the right qualifications, but I didn't have one specific certification. So I needed to do the certification. And then I got my job as a teacher. And I worked for that school for 7 years. Yes. Okay, another one. Master visa also for working with visa with sponsorship. Cool. Yeah. And guys, it's look at what Arturo said. Master, working, and sponsorship. So he kind of mentioned 3 different types of visas there. And for each one of them, maybe you're going to need some specific scores. So if you are not sure which visa you're going to apply for, maybe you should aim at a high score on the IELTS test, like 6.5 or 7. Okay, 6.5 or 7. And that'll be perfect for you. Okay, cool. Lots of people work as cleaners here too. Okay, working as cleaners and working as cleaners, some of the jobs can be quite tough, but other jobs are not that tough. Okay, guys, and the money is pretty good too. Okay, Uber Eats, lots of people do Uber Eats here. Okay, it gives you some good money too. Okay, and I think that's it mostly, some of the jobs that people do here. Okay. What else do I have to share with you? I think that's it for me, guys. So today we talked about how to work, live, and study in Australia. So I shared 4 types of visas that are very, very common: student visa, temporary graduate visa, skilled visa, and the sponsor visa. Okay, so I shared these 4 types. And again, I am not a immigration lawyer. Okay, I cannot help you with your visa. The only thing I can tell you here is the visas that you can get. And the most important thing is it doesn't matter which type of visa you are going to apply for, you need the IELTS test. If you have the dream of living in Australia or basically any other country, guys, you need the IELTS test. And that's why I'm here. I don't want you to start the process, pay heaps of money for your process, and in 6 months' time, your lawyer will look at you and go, "Where's your IELTS score?" And you still don't have it. Okay, guys. So that's why I'm here, to remind you how important it is to start your IELTS journey today. All right. Any more questions for me? We had some good questions today. Any more questions? Mhm. Nope. All good? Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna head out now. I'll be back on Thursday, same time. And if you want to get in touch with me, I think the best way to get in touch with me is on Instagram, Fabi_English. Okay, Fabi_English. And over there, you can send me a message and I will reply to your message if you have any questions. All right. And if you missed some of it, don't worry. Just go to YouTube, Fabi English on YouTube, and you can watch the whole live. Okay. If you want to watch again, also take some notes and talk to your lawyer about how to get these amazing visas to come to Australia. All right. So I'm going to head out, but I'll be back on Tuesday. All right. Bye.